Can AI replace Scrum Masters?
There are 4 competencies a Scrum Master can bring to the table to serve teams and organizations. AI can certainly be a mentor,
Yeah.
but it is going to be, you cannot go to somebody and say, can I be your mentor? Mentor will not go and find mentees. You could still have an advanced AI that can sense your loopholes or that can sense your, blind areas, but can AI make people think? Perhaps yes.
Yeah.
But
AI can be there as an assistant.
Scrum Masters who embrace AI is going to
Welcome to tryScrum Studios. In this podcast today, we are going to talk about a provocative topic. Can AI replace Scrum Masters? I would like to start off with a reflection from Venkat on this topic.
Before we go and answer, can AI really replace Scrum Masters? We need to understand what Scrum Masters can bring to the table.
Yeah.
Right? If you look at Scrum Master role, there are 4 competencies a Scrum Master can bring to the table to serve teams and organizations.
Yeah.
Right? As you know, facilitation, coaching, teaching, and mentoring. So, would it be helpful that we discuss these competencies and then we slowly draw conclusions this is a myth or an overhyped statement?
Absolutely, that makes sense. Let's start with the facilitation then.
Yeah. Let's see what is facilitation before we go and discuss can AI really replace facilitation skills and all that. So in my opinion, a facilitation or a facilitator is someone who is going to help the group succeed by not owning the content but owning the flow. Right? They are going to help the group achieve the purpose.
Yeah.
There are many ways to achieve that, but let's discuss what AI can really do.
Yeah.
Right? As an artificial intelligence, it can certainly draw some conclusions. It can synthesize people's thoughts, but it cannot directly understand people's emotions during the facilitation. For example, it's going to be really dynamic, right? People are going to be complex. They are going to hold on your thoughts. For example, we talked about psychological safety as part of the previous podcast, right? So how do we even ensure that whether there is a psychological safety exists in the room? Only human can sense that, right? And especially Scrum Masters who are competent enough, they will be able to sense the non-verbal cues. So can AI really sense non-verbal cues?
Unfortunately, no.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Which means we got to think deeper what kind of skills that the Scrum Masters are going to bring in, whether this can really be replaced by AI.
Okay. So I guess you started off with the facilitation and went on to touch about AI coming into the facilitation. So in a nutshell, if I have to put this, so AI can be used in the facilitation for synthesizing the thoughts of the group, note taking, and maybe some giving some provocative prompts to help the facilitation do, but it cannot understand the human element that is prevalent in the room for the facilitation.
Certainly, right? So, for example, we used to talk before the facilitation, during the facilitation, after the facilitation.
Yes.
So, each and everything is important when it comes to brainstorming with groups. How do you even set that stage for a group to come together and brainstorm? And AI lacks context, right? AI seriously lacks context.
Now, to that point, I'm just getting a different thought. So if we, let's say, talk about prompting the AI to give some information. So what if, as a Scrum Master, one gives a context saying that, hey, this is the problem that is there in my room. This is the conflict between 2 people. This is the challenge between, or politics between the leaders and the organizations, whatever it is. If at all we give so much of context to AI and ask it, how can it help? Would it be giving some relevant information at that point in time?
See, that's a good question, but there is risk in that. For example, when you give context to AI, to some extent you are going to be subjective, right? The context is going to change dynamically.
Okay.
Which means the context itself is emergent. You might be giving a context. In the next 5 minutes, the context is going to be totally different.
Yeah.
So can AI sense that? Or if you continue to give context in the name of prompt engineering, I also see the other side of the risk is that people might be hesitant to open up because they might be thinking that if this information would be shared with somebody else, or the synthesis of whatever we discussed is going to be going to the different level. So that is altogether going to open up a can of worms.
Absolutely. So it is indirectly affecting the psychological safety in the team.
Yeah.
Cool. So that's for facilitation.
Yes.
So should we hop on to the next one, Venkat?
Yeah. So the next thing what a Scrum Master can bring in is coaching. Right? Again, in my opinion, coaching is helping people think, which is not possible when there is no thought partner. So you are going to be a thought partner to help people think, maybe much, much bigger than what they would have not thought. Right? So again, coming to the AI part, can AI make people think? Perhaps yes.
Yeah.
But again, coming to the coaching, matching the body language, being with the coachee, understanding the situation, and sometimes not rushing into your coaching session, truly empathizing with the coachee. These are the traits, in my opinion, is going to be only with human beings.
Absolutely. So being mentally present with the coachee can only be done by the human beings, whereas AI can be there as an assistant, just provoking questions. It may not understand the feelings or the emotions that one goes through as a coachee.
Yeah, so you talked about the emotions part, right? So when you are going into a coaching session, you're not just taking your skills and competencies, you're also carrying some of the human traits, human own traits. For example, you can sense emotions. Sometimes you can be completely silent to match with your coachee. I might doubt that if AI can really do that.
Absolutely.
Right?
So we call that as intentional silence.
Yes.
We intentionally give a pause for the coachee to reflect and deeply reflect, not just reflect, deeply reflect whatever goes in their mind, and then they take the time to open up. That's definitely not going to be done by the AI.
So if you relate some of the things that AI can complement coaching, certainly by giving prompt engineering, that is by using prompt engineering, by giving context, perhaps AI can help you to become a better coach. You can think AI like your thought partner before you getting into the coaching session. But during the coaching session, it's going to be 100% owned by human beings. There is no space for mechanical machines, in my opinion.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah. That's a good thoughts on the coaching. Now let's get into the third phase, mentoring. What do you think of that?
Okay, so this is a gray zone, I would say, because it depends on what is mentoring that you're talking about.
Okay, let me put this perspective. So mentoring is all about a mentor who has knowledge in that area, trying to share the experience to the mentee to see how the mentee can grow. Right? So that's what mentoring in my perspective is. I hope you agree with me.
Certainly, right? Mentor is someone who's going to share his or her experience for somebody else to grow.
Yes.
So,
and also they are good in that area.
Yes, they are an expert.
Yeah.
But the point is, AI can certainly be a mentor.
Yeah.
But it is going to be a mechanical mentor. Yeah. So you ask what you want and AI is going to respond to you. The problem is AI cannot sense your blind spots, which you could have not sensed yourself. Which means a true mentorship is going to come to life only when I'm able to spot your blind spots. And I'm going to share my experience to help you access your blind spots so that you can truly discover something that you could have not discovered. if you don't have a mentor.
Okay. So we always talk about this. Mentoring is all about relationship. It's like you need to know each other mutually for a longer time. That's when the mentoring is powerful, right? So which AI can't do.
Certainly, it is organic, right? You cannot go to somebody and say, "Can I be your mentor?" Mentor will not go and find mentees. The mentees are the one who is going to tap mentors. For that, there should have been some organic relationship who would have understood you for some time, and highly unlikely AI can do this.
Yeah, but incidentally, in the last conference, I met one of the speakers who was referring to a app which is gonna take a lot of studies about. We can do one-on-one interaction, is what she said. That the AI app or a tool that's going to help grasp so much of insights about you as a person. You can talk about the feelings, you can talk about what you go through. It's going to process and train by itself, and then it's going to give you some insights which is going to help you, is what she said. I didn't use it though. But having said that, you said mentoring is a gray area. So at times, this is an area that the AI can be very much helpful than the other two areas that we talked about, if I'm not wrong.
Yes. So if you remember, I told you that it's a gray area. It depends on what you are talking about. What do you mean by mentoring? So AI can certainly collect huge information and it can do a synthesis of all that information. Finally, it can give you a report. Hey, you are good at this, you are bad at this, and all that. But what about non-verbal communication?
Yeah.
What about stretching your potential? Right? End of the day, it's an infant technology yet. So can it really go one step ahead and stretch you? It depends on the context.
Yeah.
If you're going to give a couple of prompt engineering and say that this is something I cannot do, then AI is going to totally turn the tables and say, okay, I truly understand. You can go and lower your efforts and you can do X, Y, Z. Right? And perhaps you could still have an advanced AI that can sense your loopholes or that can sense your, I don't know, blind areas. But as on today, I don't think such AI exists.
Okay. Yep.
So coming to the original discussion that we had, I still feel mentoring can definitely be complemented by AI, but mentoring cannot be completely replaced by AI.
Absolutely. Yes. Now, last area, teaching. What's your thought?
Yeah, of course. Nowadays, AI is teaching many people.
Yeah.
So they just go to AI and say, what is Scrum? What is business agility?
Yeah.
And to some extent, yes, AI can teach you. But again, let's talk about the other side of the coin, right? How do we know that the information provided by AI is correct? Right? Where is the authenticity?
Absolutely.
And we don't know what kind of data was used to train that AI. Right? So the real connection happens, you are in a classroom, learning from your teachers, learning from your lecturers. If you misinterpret something, you're going to ask, hey, is my understanding correct? This is my understanding. Right? The human element is going to come back to you and say, oh my God, I'm so sorry that you got it wrong. And this is what I was referring to.
Okay, so now what you're saying is like, it's about the content, the originality or the correctness in the content, and also, let's say for an example, the opposite person has misunderstood something, and as a teacher or a facilitator, you can help them unwire something and then relearn the correct concept, which AI can't do, is what you're saying, because it cannot validate whether the opposite person has learned correctly or not.
Yeah. So I might be saying something and you might be getting totally different.
Yeah.
And that's the part of teacher's job, right? They are going to validate you with different questions. Sometimes they might provoke you in a different way because all of us do not learn the same way.
Yeah.
We are going to be totally different.
Yeah.
So can AI come back and forth? Unless you go and do a prompt engineering, AI is not going to come back and forth and validate whether you have understood what it was intended to be understood. So there are two different coins.
Nice.
But still, I totally support that it can be a great teacher, collaborator to some extent, but again, it cannot totally replace teaching.
Okay. So now coming back to the original topic, can AI replace Scrum Masters?
Yeah. So based on the 4 different competencies we spoke,
Yeah.
facilitation, coaching, mentoring, and teaching, I still feel no AIs can replace Scrum Masters. It can help the existing Scrum Masters get better at what they do. But I can put it this way. Scrum Masters who embrace AI is going to replace Scrum Masters who do not embrace AI.
Well said. Yes, absolutely. So AI is going to complement Scrum Masters in many ways, like helping with or getting some new facilitation techniques, getting some open-ended questions for coaching sessions, getting to know different areas which they don't know as Scrum Masters, getting to understand different content to teach. So all these AI can give, but the human elements, the emotion part, understanding the non-verbal cues, understanding the situation, and then empathizing with the person, which the AI can't do.
Yes,
which is the most important stuff for Scrum Masters.
Yes, and it requires validation, right? So you use AI as your thought partner, collaborator, but still you need to have a go-to person, perhaps a mentor who can validate your understanding. Because again, we don't know what kind of data was used to train AI. So most likely you might get into the learning trap. You think that you're learning the right thing, but totally it might misguide you.
Okay. Thank you for summarizing this, Venkat. I hope you all enjoyed this podcast. Please subscribe our channel. Until then, goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you.